Welcome back to BHAW Radio. This is episode 107. I'm your host, Brian Rowan, with co-host Logan Everett. Coach Ward, welcome to the show.
What's up, everybody? It's good to be back.
Yeah, pumped to talk to you. It's been a while.
Well, we've had a few things happen since our last episode. We're still in preseason, so it's not like we have a lot of competitions to go through, but we can talk all things preseason training, the team, how things are shaping up, whatever questions you guys have. I'm just excited to be back with you guys. It's been, our listeners don't know this, but the only time that we actually talk is when we do this podcast. So it's like catching up with my buddies and we get to talk Army wrestling. It's all good.
Yeah. It feels like we did the episode not that long ago, but also feels like, and it was almost a month ago. So
it was like a month.
And
is that why you were looking at your watch just then? You were looking.
Well, yeah, I have the date on there too. I was looking.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
But I don't know. Looking back though, it's like a month of preseason always seemed like forever. Like at the academy, like a month of preseason felt like a whole school year. I don't know if it was like that for you, Logan, but.
Well, when Coach Ward first got there, we didn't touch another wrestler for like 2 weeks. So that felt pretty long.
Is that true? What did we do? What are you talking about?
We did stance and motion for weeks.
Yeah. Well, he needed work. We had to get better there.
It was like when you go, you get a new lifting coach and they're like, you can't do anything but a PVC pipe until I validate your form. It was like you can't touch another wrestler until you have a good stance and motion and some good fundamentals. So we did that for like 2 weeks, and then you finally let us wrestle somebody else. So
we probably did a lot of sprawling. We probably did a lot of sprawling, a lot of defense, and
Andrew Grella did a lot of sprawling.
Oh, G-Rail. When he comes back around, we tell that story. Oh, we called G-Rail out there to the middle. And, all right, Andrew, sprawl. And if I remember right, like, Andrew was like a left leg lead and say sprawl, and he kept sprawling his right leg.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, Andrew, sprawl on your lead leg. And the guy, he had a hard time there that day. He struggled that day. And that leg did not want to move at all.
Listen, it's not a fun time to be struggling when you get called out to the center, and
it's whatever. It's part of it. Like the only people that really care about that are the coaches. Don't care. Coaches are like, it's part of it. You got to learn. But wow, we did stance and motion for 2 weeks, which brings me up, another point. We have this debate all the time. Is it stance in motion or stance and motion?
I think it's stance in motion.
Or is it stancing motion?
Stance and motion. I don't know. Whenever we're working out with the little kids and they say like stance inside, I always say stancing. We're stancing.
I say stance
I'm just
work.
being silly.
So I just say you have some stance work to do.
So you just avoid it.
Yeah, I don't need that confusion in my life. I'm trying to keep things simple. Life's tough enough. I don't need stance emotions out there.
Yeah.
Stance emotions.
So I don't know, Jack. If Jack Lucy's listening, he'll chime in. I'll get a message from Jack here as soon as he listens to this. He'll send me a message. He'll just say stance emotions. But how did we even get off track? Are we gonna? I don't even know.
We were talking about preseason, and I was saying how
preseason. Okay, let me tell you something. Yeah. Here's preseason lasts just as long at West Point as it does everywhere else in the world. Like, it's no longer and no shorter. It's so. I don't know. Your preseason experience, from what I've gathered, preseason was a little bit different before I got here, and so I think the experience was a little bit different. We have a new coach on staff, Taylor Lamont, who's awesome. He's a rock star. And he asked me like early on in the preseason, he's like, so when are we going to start running and stuff? And I was like, as soon as the track team starts wrestling, that's when we're going to start running. Like, we don't run. We're not doing it. But why are we going to go run? How does that help us get better at wrestling? We're going to wrestle. And anyway, preseason's been great. It's been good. We can get into it, but if anybody was ever curious about what we do, I don't think we've put running shoes on more than 3 times this entire I mean, other than to lift, we haven't been out running more than 3 times.
Well, surprisingly, you can get in shape by wrestling.
It's wild, right?
Yeah, it's weird, but it
We
can be
do have
done.
assault bikes. Those help.
Yeah.
Well, since the last episode, one thing that a big thing that's happened also, the captains were announced for the team. So if you want to talk about who the captains are and a little bit about them for the
Would
listeners.
love to. So every year it's a pretty tough choice. We've been through this before on this show. My thoughts on the team captains, and my feelings are, traditionally there's 2 team captains being named, and I, like 2's not enough. I need more. I need more people that are publicly, named captains that are expected to be relied on for different reasons. And so a few years ago, we went from naming 2 to naming 4. And, I just think that this year in particular, every year is good, but this year in particular, I mean, I could have picked 6 other people and we would be in just as good a position. But the 4 people that we named, they certainly earned it, and like they're looked at as captains before they had the title of captain. So we have Charlie Farmer and Ethan Bergen. We have Dalton Harkins. And who else am I forgetting? I'm supposed to know my captains. We have Daniel Yurchuk. And so we have 2 firsties and then 2 juniors that are team captains. And they're just all great leaders in different ways, and like where Dalton, has been a leader since early on in his career here, like coming in, high expectations, and he owned those. And he's been very steady and consistent, and he has the respect of everybody in the locker room, everybody on the coaching staff. And he's just an easy guy to want to follow because he's hardworking. He's really charismatic, if you know him, great personality. And, he's got a lot of potential to impact the team, which is really exciting. And where maybe his potential to impact the team has not quite yet been reached yet, where maybe some other people's has. Dalton has still some potential out there, but meaning that he has room to grow into his leadership role a little bit more and make a really positive impact. Dan Yurchuk, man, this guy's been awesome. Pretty easy choice to select Danny because he's been rock solid. He lives it. He's not afraid to set high expectations for other people to live exactly what we want out of people in our program. Even though, he hasn't been a guy that's like been on the posters and received a lot of attention outside of our program. Like he's never changed. He just works really hard. He's there for everybody else. He's a great teammate. Bergen, he's a guy that, he came in, big impact freshman. People were drawn to him right away because he's successful, and he owned that from the start, where he was, he recognized that he was one of the best wrestlers, and that comes with some responsibility, and he's been awesome with it, since day one. So, and he's a hard worker, competes hard. Like you take a full team of them, just like Charlie Farmer too. Last guy I'm going to talk about. Here's a guy that hasn't been full-time in the starting lineup, but will be, like his day's coming, and probably, one of, if not the, one of the hardest workers in the room. Just very consistent, disciplined. He lives and loves the sport of wrestling. He's fun to be around. Like he has no time for nonsense and other things. Like he's very sure of what he wants, and he's going to do everything he can to get what he wants out of his college wrestling experience. So he's a lot of fun to have on your team because he's just, like he knows what he wants. He's going to go chase it down. So he's a lot of fun. These guys they're great examples. Love having them. And we've got others on the team too, that pretty much what I tell the team, I could close my eyes and point to anybody and they should be able to do, like you should look at them and say, that's Army wrestling. I want to be like them. We're fortunate to have those guys. So, are there more questions about the captains? I'm happy to chat about them a little bit more.
No, I think that pretty much sums it up from my standpoint. I mean, you've touched on some of those things before, but it's good to hear, who was announced and
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this, I'm sorry, Logan, go ahead.
Knowing you, like, I don't think that you put any mind or thought into, like balancing maybe somebody who hasn't been a starter versus somebody who's been, the expectations of supposed to be one of the best guys on the team. Like, there's always that dynamic a little bit. And knowing you, I don't think that goes into what you're thinking, but I just, I think it is really important to have those, I don't want to call him a secondary player because I don't think that's what he is. I think he's fighting for his spot just like everybody else, but also like, maybe the cards haven't gone his way up until now, but to be able to still, shine in a role that's, as big as being a team captain and, some people might not think it's a big deal. I always felt like it was a big deal, and I think it comes with a little bit, different responsibility. So I just think that's huge for him, and congrats to him and everybody else that got named. I think it just says a lot about who you are. Everybody's got different circumstances, but you're selected for a reason. So
yeah. I don't think about those things. Like I said, you do know me pretty well. I don't think about, oh, we need to balance this, or it's not it. Like we name who we think are the best leaders that are going to be able to help take other people from where they are to where they need to be. And one thing, this is interesting. We used to hear years ago. I haven't heard this in a while, and that's a sign of progress. We used to hear, we don't want captains to be yes men, for the coaches, and that used to always just blow my freaking socks off. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, so I would say like, okay, do you want to be a champion? He'll say yes. I say, okay, you just said yes. Everybody can do it. You can say yes. Like you should say everybody should be. Like, what everybody on the team should be a yes man. Do what the coaches say. When the coaches say do it, say yes, and then you'll all be champions. Or give yourself your best chance. But we've gotten to a position as a team. What I'm getting at is, like the team, I'm very comfortable with how the team looks at the team captains. They're not looked at to like, hey, go ask coach what we're doing over Thanksgiving break. Like I told the captains, if anybody asks you to do that, say like, yeah, I can go ask them, but so can you. Like just go ask. Like now the team captains are looked at as more like, I want to work like them. I want to live and I want to work like those guys. So that's a very positive thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of moving into preseason a little bit. How's the progress? How the guys shaking out? If you want to, recap the melee at the mess hall, alliteration at its finest. You guys dropped a pretty cool video today, hype video. So that was awesome.
Well, okay. So one, it's a wrestling event, so you can't have a title without alliteration being involved. Credit Scott Green with that. He would not let it fly.
I knew that it would be his. I knew it would come from his mind.
I mean, I think we threw out a couple ideas, but as soon as he said melee at the mess hall in the group chat, we all just stopped and we're going with that. So we're recording this. We are talking on October 16th. And so we're like 2.5 weeks away from competition. So preseason has been ramping up. Melee at the mess hall. We've done this every year, like had some exhibition matches outside. Kind of draw attention to Teal Ribbon Week, something that we can do. And then this year we were fortunate enough to be able to do it in the front steps of the mess hall. Check out our Instagram, see the pictures and the video. It's sick. What an awesome setting. Here's what we used it for, just exhibition matches. Get our team out in front of people. Let's raise some awareness for good cause. And let's let our guys compete in front of people that aren't just the coaches in the wrestling room. Us, what we use that for is a little bit of an evaluation. We want to see where we're at as a team. We want to see where some individuals are at. And we learn some things as coaches of, okay, here's areas that we think we're doing really good at, and here's some areas that we want to address. And we took some, had some takeaways, probably 3 technical takeaways and some other mental takeaways from those matches. And then it's back into the practice room and try to implement those into what you're doing, make those corrections. So it gives you, we've always taken a lot of pride in improving once the season starts, because then you have a real measuring stick. You have competition. This is a way to simulate competition before the actual season starts. So it gives us an opportunity to evaluate, give feedback, and make some changes in our training before the matches actually go on your record.
Yeah, I wondered. I kind of hit on this earlier, but I noticed, not everybody got matches. I'm sure that's limited by space and time. You're not going to roll out 8 matches or 8 mats in front of the mess hall or whatever it is to make sure everybody gets about. So I'm sure the rest of the guys are kind of getting reps behind behind the mat room doors at least.
I mean, that's part of it. You know, when you have a roster our size, and listen, credit our team with it. Like our team moved all the mats themselves, set it up, break it down. Like we don't have a facilities crew helping set this thing up. You know, this is like the rest. So we're only moving 2 mats. We're not doing any more than that.
You carry them down the front
So
steps once. It's like, I think that's enough.
yeah, I mean, they carried the mats or wheeled them, you know, from Arvin over into the front of the mess hall. So 2 mats, and then we tried to get 9 or 10 bouts per mat. And because you don't want to be out there for 3 hours. And so, yeah, so some people did get matches. The results of these matches aren't going to go into consideration and who's going to end up being a starter. The results of these matches show us, you know, where certain individuals are mentally, where they're at technically in their wrestling, and then as a team, you know, areas that we need to address, like I said. So this isn't a wrestle-off. The results by themselves at least aren't going to be able to dictate who's going to be in the starting lineup. You know, it's good information for us, and it's fun, you know, a unique setting. It's fun to get out in front of other people and wrestle.
You mentioned last episode that early on the season, the weight class, you know, the people you see at certain weight classes may be different than later in the season. Like guys will, you know, change around. It's not, you know, when I was in college, it felt like, hey, when the lineup was set early on in the year, you know, unless something happened, it shifted. You know, I think that's changed, you know, over the years a little bit, and your methodology is a little bit different. You know, how is that? You know, do you have a good feel of who's going to be starting, you know, in the first dual meet of the year right now at each weight class, or?
Well, I mean, I think fortunately for us and with our schedule, I think by design, we go to the Princeton Open on November 3rd, and then our first dual meet is on November 8th. I think it's the 8th. So we have a tournament before our first dual meet. So that tournament is going to be like heavily weighted in the equation of who's going to end up being the starter for the dual meets, because we want to see who can wrestle outside competition and perform. And so, what do I have an idea? I mean, but we're going to wait until the Princeton Open to set a starting lineup. Mm-hmm. You know, that's just the bottom line. Is that has to be the most important thing. You know, what you do in competition. So we're gonna wait. That's the first competition, and it's going to give us an evaluation and some feedback and help us set our starting lineup. Mm-hmm. But I do expect. I mean, I expect battles to pretty much every weight class, which is going to be fun. Like we haven't had battles at as many weight classes as we will this year, probably in quite some time. There's going to be battles at 25, 33, 41, 49, 57, 65, 74, 84, 97 heavyweight. 10 weight classes. There's 10 weight classes that I'm like, all right, these guys are going to wrestle. They're going to wrestle it out. You know, okay, you can take somebody like Philippowicz, you know, and say, oh, he's a returning national qualifier. He's the favorite. Okay, he's the favorite. But that doesn't mean anybody else is not going to battle for that spot. You know, like, it's going to be fun to watch. So, yeah, there's multiple people there that could, you know, it's going to be fun to watch and see who. But just like every season, you know, whoever the first starting lineup we send out, it's probably not going to be the same in February. There's always changes, you know, and I hope the guys on our team realize that they can always wrestle themselves into a spot.
Yeah, I'm wondering, we talked a little bit about some of the shifting weight classes. I mean, we saw a little bit of that last year. You probably, I don't know if you did that by design, but you kind of had a chance to like play around with some of that there. Like, did that influence any thoughts on how you would approach this year?
It gives you ideas and helps you think about it. Now, it didn't like, I don't have in my mind right now, this person's moving down after the first 6 weeks or whatever. Last year, I mean, we knew it was a little bit of an experiment with Ben.
At 84 first?
Yeah. We knew that was a little bit of an experiment. And Ben knew that too, you know, and Ben wanted to go down to 74. You know, he brought it up before we did. He knew it was the best weight class for him after trying 184 out. But we have some others this year, you know, that like, we have a few people in new weight classes. We'll see. Do they adjust to those well? Do they need to change? Or so yeah, that'll be interesting to to see, but there's nothing in my mind. I don't have those plans in my mind right now, but I'm more open to it after last year. Because here's something interesting. Here's a thought. Is those matches, so let's say Logan Everett, you're wrestling 149.
Yeah.
And you get 15 matches in. And then you're like, 41's my weight class. I need to go down. And then you go down. Those 15 matches that you had don't go on your record.
Yeah.
So it's just 15 matches of experience.
Well, they do go on your record, just not towards any sort of NCAA criteria, right? When it comes to an allocation or.
That's right. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, for everything that's really important.
Would you be seated at the conference tournament or no?
If you had enough matches at your new weight class, yeah.
But not if you didn't.
Yeah, if you just drop right before, no.
Yeah.
You could.
Like, say I was the number one guy in the country at 49 and went to 41, they would be like, tough shit.
There's provisions for that. But listen, a couple of years ago, Yanni, I think, got second in the World Championships, and he was like fourth in our conference tournament. So, but that was a Cornell thing, and those coaches kind of used the rules to their advantage to, like they wanted to win the tournament. So it was a team sport thing. But no kidding, their coaches looked at every other coach and were like, yeah, Yanni should be seated fourth, like with a straight face. And we're all like, he was second in the world.
He's won 3 in a row.
He's probably the best in the conference. But they're gone. So those shenanigans hopefully are gone with them. We hope that's.
And we got a new one, right? We got a new school.
Yeah, we added.
I don't know
Oregon
if we talked
State.
about that. Yeah, I don't know.
We added. Yeah, I don't listen. I didn't even know that was coming. Like the way our conference works is kind of bizarre. Like I got called and like, hey, it's just going to vote later this week, and I was like, for what? A vote? Sure, fine, whatever. Bring them on. I mean, I think it's a good thing. In the large picture, we added Morgan State. They didn't have another conference to go to, and I don't think we're the best conference for them. But when we're the only option, then we are the best conference. So it does make it really hard for other schools to want to add wrestling if they don't have a conference they can join. And so maybe for the greater good, and it'll be a nice addition. It's a really nice story. Like it's a really very cool story that needs to be told, that Morgan State's being brought back and they're going to be serious about wrestling, and they're going to be coached well. So it's going to be like, they're gonna have an opportunity to compete. So we're actually going there and wrestling them this year in their place. And so, but anyways, we added another team. So what do we have now? 11, 12 teams in the IWA? 12.
I don't know. I haven't run 12. All the post Ivy numbers, but
come on, man. You're supposed to do this in your podcast.
I need Chick to tell me.
Chime in, Chick.
Yeah.
We need chime in, Chick.
We need to phone a friend.
Yeah. So 12 teams.
So between now and Princeton Open, are you guys doing any formal wrestle-offs or like maybe informal wrestle-offs in the room, or how does that look between now and then?
Yeah, informal. So like we did those matches in front of the mess hall, and then next Monday we're going to do some simulation matches in the wrestling room. So, and it's going to be at a certain weight. Everybody's got to make their weight and then step on the mat and wrestle. So it's not like you're not making weight and then wrestling 4 hours later. It's
mat side weigh-in.
Not quite. I can't even get that accomplished in my own room. But it's going to be pretty close. We're going to have a weigh-in, wrestle, and again, that's going to be, that's evaluation tools for coaches. Because here's the thing. Most people have some sort of competition and anxiety. It's normal. And it's an opportunity to learn how to deal with that, because you're going to be competing out there in front of the team, and that it's going to be important. So it's an opportunity for our guys to learn how to manage that anxiety. It's an opportunity for us to evaluate who can manage it well, because you want people that their competition elevates them and doesn't hold them back. And so it's useful for a number of reasons. It's just practice reps in every way. It's practice reps making weights, practice reps dealing with the anxiety and the nerves and everything that's awesome about competition. And it's practice reps for coaches to be able to oh, here's where we're at, and here's what we need to do to get ready. So we'll do that on Monday, and then we won't do another round, most likely, until the Princeton Open.
Do you plan on sending most folks to the Princeton Open?
I think we were capped due to spots there at their tournament with 40. So we have 47 guys on our team. We have 40 spots. We're going to send almost everybody, but there's going to be a few that probably aren't going to be able to compete at Princeton. Just the way the dominoes fell this time, but it's going to be close to everybody.
Yeah.
How big is the Princeton Open? Like, what do the brackets look like? Are they, how big are each weight class usually?
I think it's like 350. So 30, 35 man brackets.
Yeah, they're big.
Yeah. Hey, one other thing that, that's coming up really soon that we haven't really talked about yet is, listen, next Tuesday, Lucas Stoddard leaves for the World Championships.
Yeah.
So this is big. Lucas has been training freestyle, it's the whole preseason, and he was off the mat for a little bit, and he's dealt with, like getting fully healthy and being ready to compete. But this is a big deal. Lucas Stoddard going to represent Team USA at the World Championships. And we've never had anybody that's made the U23 World Team before. And so Lucas had a breakout summer, and he's looked really good in the fall. Like, he can have a really good year this year. And we're excited for him. He gets to go compete. So I think he wrestles next Thursday and Friday. And it'll be streamed either on Flow or on UWW's website. But look for Lucas Stoddard in the USA singlet. And he's not going to be wearing West Point colors, but we all know he's one of ours. It'll be really cool to see him at the World Championship.
Same team, right?
We're America's team, man. Yeah.
Are any coaches traveling with him?
Jeff Brees is going with him. Yeah. Yep. So Jeff has kind of been training him. And, we have Mike Rogers as part of our RTC. So Mike's been one of his coaches and practice partners in this training, session he's been going through. And but it's just going to be Jeff that goes over there with him.
That's gotta be, where is it being held?
It's in Albania.
Is that the same location as the Senior Worlds, or is it?
I know the Senior Worlds, they wrestled in Albania a few years ago, and I think the non-Olympic weight World Championships are in the same place. Yeah.
For this year, yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, what an opportunity.
Yeah, it's it's awesome that like, think about the people he's rubbing elbows with while he's over there, and people he's around, the environment that he's in, and that can help elevate him and help elevate everybody, so we're thrilled about that.
Yeah, I don't know what else. I don't know. I don't think we need to get too far down the schedule. We're kind of sequentially going into the schedule here a little bit. But just to highlight that, I mean, what a cool thing that is, and I think that's going to really prepare him for the year. I know it's a different style, but it's still competition and at the highest level. So
still a competition. It's a very high level. It's awesome for him. It's awesome for our program. So. But yeah, I think you're right. I don't think we need to go through the whole schedule. We have the Princeton Open coming up, and we're going to send 35 to 40 wrestlers there to the Princeton Open. And then it should be pretty clear after that who's going to go compete at the dual meets that are in South Carolina on the Yorktown. And if you're not going there, then you're going to the Journeyman. And so everybody's going to be competing, in those first 10 days of the season. So that'll be, we'll be off to the races there. And then it'll be pretty clear, what the lineup's going to look like for the first month or so of the season. So, man, I'm looking forward to it. This has been a fun group to coach. I think our philosophy, as a coaching staff has been really solid and getting everybody ready. And we've talked to the team a lot about a couple things. And one, as I told the team early on in the season this year, like, I have one main goal for the culture of our program right now, and that's to be the most positive team in the country. Like, I ask them all the time, what would it look like? What would it feel like? What would it sound like? How do you talk to each other? If you're part of the most positive team in the country, that's what we want. Every day you come in here, every day in competition, like, be grateful and be the most positive team in the country. So we've made that a real point of emphasis, and it's, I think, has made everybody, more positive. It's like, just making that a point. Let's be the most positive team in the country. Change how you talk about things, and the way you talk to each other. And if it's not something that the most positive team would do, then we're not going to do it. You know, we got to set that standard. The other thing is we have the potential to have a really good team, and don't be burdened by that expectation. You know, be energized by it. There's a big difference. It can take you one or two ways. Having the responsibility of the potential to have a good team can feel like a burden, or it can just be nothing but, you know, pure gasoline, man, and fire you up. And that's what it's got to be. So we've talked to our team a lot about that, and we'll see if that translates in the way that we compete.
What
Yeah, I think the positivity thing's pretty contagious when it comes to some of that stuff. It's funny enough, like I was actually talking with a little Army talk, but I was talking with my first sergeant about that today because we did an ACFT, and I don't know if they still do it this way at West Point when they do, you know, like your big ACFTs, or they have everybody where you used to turn your back to people when you did them as big units. You didn't watch the person behind you go. And Brian, you probably remember that too, when it was like really big, like you're not supposed to observe the person that's going before you when they do their push-ups or sit-ups or whatever. And it's like, you know, like we took an ACFT with my unit today, and it was like we tried to kind of get out of that mind frame where it's like, hey, we want other people to be there to encourage, you know, and to kind of uplift each other as you go through it. And we're seeing a lot, you know, more positive results from
Oh,
that than
really?
we are from like that old style of like, don't encourage anybody, don't do that. So I think that's kind of interesting. It's just a different thing, but still like you're seeing improvement
That's awesome.
regardless, with
Yeah.
people being more positive, which is just kind of neat. But
Yeah. That's really cool. I love that. I'm probably going to use that. I'm going to tell the team that, you know,
well, yeah, I mean, it's crazy, you know. It's just like it makes it more fun. I think you get more out of everybody just because they're like it's especially like an ACFT for a unit can be kind of one of those like, ah, shit, we got to do this thing. It's like kind of dreaded, you know. It's just like, you know,
yeah.
it's coming up for forever on the calendar, and then you make it a little bit more fun because everybody's positive and kind of gets into it, and it's, you know, a little more contagious, and people, you know, seem to perform well or give a little bit more in a spot where normally they would be like, hey, you know, I passed, whatever, I could quit
Right.
here, and you don't see people do that. So I think that's a good thing.
Well, look, you know, like with your guys, you're going to take the ACFT, whether they have a good attitude or a bad attitude, they're going to take it anyway.
Right.
Like you're going to do it, you know? And so, you know, one thing this has been a personal challenge to myself this year. And I've talked about it with the team a lot. It's like, you know, like that's tough for me because I consider myself a positive person, but it's not like in like you know, like I don't have this big joyous personality, you know, but I am positive. So it's been, you know, like I have to put work into showing, you know, positivity. So I'm like, man, I gotta I don't ever want to be saying I have to anymore. You know, it's like let's replace that with I get to do it. As cheesy as it is, you know,
Yeah.
well, I get to do this today because I'm gonna do it anyway. Like I'm going. Like if I got a
Yeah.
meeting, I'm going. You know, like if I got practice, I'm going. So which way you want to look at it? I have to or I get to. So there's one way is going to be better than the other.
Was there anything that like spawned this to like, you know, put this to action? You know,
I'm getting older, and I'm just like those are the people I want to be around. You know, so I was sitting there thinking about I don't know when it was, sometime over the summer. I was probably on an airplane or something, or on a bike. You know, I like to work out. Brian, we haven't talked about that in a while. But I was probably just thinking, and that's the kind of people I want to be around, just positive people. You know, I think they make life more fun. So I was thinking, man, what would be different with our team? And it would take a lot of courage to just come out and like outwardly show that you're the most positive team in the country. But I was like, screw it, let's do that. You know, let's be different. Let's be known as the most positive team. So here I am spilling all of our internal secrets, and like
Well,
we haven't backed it up yet. Maybe we're not, but that's, you know, maybe now
fortunately,
it's out.
fortunately, there's only 13 people that listen to this, so
Yeah,
I don't think the
listen,
secret's going to get out to many people.
I ran into somebody. Where was I? I was at a term. Maybe I was at Elite 8 or Super 32 because I have been recruiting lately. And somebody was like, "Hey, I'm one of your dozens," and I was like, "Huh? What?" He's like, "Yeah, listen to the show," and I was like, "Yes, it's good to meet you." I didn't know these people had a face. You know,
what are the chances that you meet one of those? It's like getting struck by lightning or something. You know what I mean?
I thought it was just all bots that tuned in. I don't know. I think they're real people. So, yeah,
Well, I
but
mean, I'd be interested to hear your opinion on this, and maybe you do have a strong opinion on it, but I think it's, I think one of the possibilities that's being thrown around, and I know maybe even Scott kind of wrote a little bit about it in his recent update that he sent out, but I have a lot of friends that are kind of like reaching out to me, especially you see Army football being successful.
Let's
And now,
go.
and
We
I
got the
think,
team.
yeah, shout out to Coach Monk, and he was also on Pat McAfee today, and I was kind of listening to some of the stuff that he was spewing on there, which is all really good stuff, talking about, there's a lot more people interested in serving than you think. And a lot of people want to be part of a team, right? And now I think, especially with some of this NIL landscape and some of the revenue sharing stuff, like the aspect of a team, right? Or somebody that stays a team for 4 years is going to vanish, but not at a place like where we are. So, I don't know if I know that's something that you guys probably think about. Um, but I just think that it's kind of interesting that that's going around as a topic, and wrestling is a little bit more individual, but when it comes to like collective every day, we're here as a team. How do we improve? Like, I think people want that, and do you see that as a huge benefit to being at West Point?
Yeah, I really do, and that's not propaganda. It's not me just saying because I'm here. I think it's a big benefit. Now, look, like some people are going to be motivated, and some kids can like go make a couple $100,000 wrestling. That's fine, go do it. But that's not everybody.
Right.
Most NIL deals for wrestling are going to be like a couple $1,000 a year. Like you're not getting big money. Now, some that can make $2, $3, $4, $500,000 a year, go do it. That's fine. But most people aren't going to have that option, and they don't want to be on a team where they're always worried about who's going to get bought to come in here and compete against me for the spot. Like it's one thing to compete against the people that are there, but you look at some teams, and we're wrestling some of them this year, like there's 3 or 4 transfers. It's like transfer in, transfer out, transfer in, transfer out. Like the kids we recruit, we hear it all the time. Like, I want to be part of a really close-knit team that feels like a family. And I'm like, well, you want to be part of our team? That's what you're saying, because it's exactly who we are, and you guys know it because you've lived it. But I think more and more that's true, because as you see, like the upper, half or 1% of talent have the opportunities to make big money and bounce around to make big money again, and then like not everybody has that opportunity, and the ones that don't have that opportunity aren't really as interested in being around it. And what we can offer is a really solid experience that's not going to change. Like there's no surprises with us. It's like there's no surprises. We're not going to change. Like, what you're getting, and it's going to stay that way your entire career.
I mean, even that, I think it just, it's hard to think right now that like you see the success that the football team's having, maybe, and that's like it looks obvious when you watch it that it's like, man, this is a real team. Like they're bought in, everyone's doing everything together. So even like besides that, I think you're still developing at a faster rate, right? Because you're around people who are all committed to you being successful and doing the things the right way, and being part of a team where it's like it's just less individualized, even though it is individual to an extent. But when everyone's bought in, I think you're going to develop faster than somewhere else where it's like,
I think so.
Yeah.
And it's just more enjoyable to be a part of.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And I think, and that shows, right? Like,
Well, that's what I'm saying. That shows in the results when it's like,
exactly.
hey, this is an enjoyable thing to be a part of. We get better together every day.
Yep.
And we win.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought about that a lot today, especially after listening to his stuff. And, a few friends had reached out to me asking, like, is this going to be a thing that continues now? Because everyone else is worrying about, hey, how can I get a player for 1 year? And, maybe you see it in some different sports like basketball and stuff too, where it's a little bit more team focused. Like, you have a group that's been playing together for 4 years, playing a team that's brand new freak athletes that have played together for 3 months. Like, how's that going to look?
Right. And man,
So,
I mean, football is the ultimate team game. You have so many people playing at one time. And so it's really hard for one player to take over a game completely in football. I'm not a football expert. obviously. But I mean, that's kind of my opinion. It's hard for one. It's easier for a player to take over in basketball. There's only 5 on a team, 10 on the court. It's a lot easier in wrestling for one person to take over because it's one-on-one. But like in football, I think Jeff Monken is the best coach in the country, and I think you look what he's been able to do here with our program. I don't think there's any stopping him. But for the same reasons, it's really good for our football program. It's really good for us too.
Yeah, good stuff.
I have to come back this weekend and see them beat East Carolina.
Yeah, let's go. Hey, it's another sellout. So last week's game was sold out. This one's sold out, and then we're off, and then we have Air Force at home.
I'll say it looked packed on TV.
Yeah, I heard it was chaos. I was at Super 32, so I was on the road recruiting. But I heard it was like chaos to get on the post and to get in the stadium. Like it was packed, and it's going to be that way again this weekend.
Well, I saw they're buying full ads in Times Square for
I know,
stuff, which is awesome.
Does that have anything to do with the construction and like the one side not being
yeah, definitely.
So
listen, I don't know when's the last time you were at West Point, but like there's always construction here. There's more construction going on right now than I can ever remember. I mean, I don't know how many parking spots they've taken away from this place in the past 6 months, but they've had to cut parking by 10 or 15% just with all the construction going on. And then you add a good football team that people want to see, and like, yeah, so it's all that. These are great problems to have. We have recruits coming in this weekend. We're going to take them to a sold-out football game on Saturday. It's awesome.
If any of these alumni know how we can get a box in the new construction, we got to jump in on that early so we can have a revolving door of alumni that go.
Somebody needs to get on MikeyStadium.com and buy one of those new suites. So
yeah, can you just buy one on the website? Does it work like that?
You might have to. I'm sure. Listen, if your credit card limit's high enough, I bet you can.
You donate enough.
Yeah, we might have to use both our credit cards on that one. I'm not sure.
Yeah, mine would probably.
What you're hearing is like if somebody's got a box up there, give Logan Everett a call, hook him up.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
please.
Probably like a shot in the dark if one of our dozen listeners also has a box.
So yeah. It's just almost a miracle.
Yeah, getting struck by lightning.
Almost a miracle, but hey, listen, here in like 2.5, 3 weeks, we're gonna have some actual wrestling results to talk about. So I don't know, did anybody respond with any questions for today's episodes or anything else that we need to talk about Army wrestling wise?
Well, actually, one person responded asking, there looked like there was a scheduling conflict. They were LIU, and I went to their website. LIU has you guys listed as wrestling them on January 19th, as well as American, but our schedules has that on the 12th. So, logistical question, but it's probably good to.
It's definitely the 12th at noon at LIU. So there were some conversations that went back and forth. I think LIU is without a coach at the moment. I don't know if they have any coaches.
None?
Yeah, none coaches. Jesse Ellis was an assistant coach there. He left and went to Hofstra. Then their head coach resigned like 10 days later. I'm not sure if they had anybody else on. I don't even know if they have a coach right now.
Maybe just team captain, like player coach.
Dude, I have no idea. Hopefully they get it situated. I'm sure they will, and they might have a coach now. But maybe it's one of those things, we're just, wires got crossed. But yeah, the 12th at noon at Long Island, January 12th.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
One comment. Did Coach Green secure any offers off his mic work from the Melee at the mess hall?
He's pretty good. But he also has a full-time job as a wrestling coach, and so he needs to stick with that. He's really good at pretty much everything that he does. So if it was, I heard we had 200 viewers on YouTube. I'm sure they heard him. But listen, don't be trying to take him away from us. There's no more offers. Scott Green's got his job, and that's where we're going to keep him. But he's really good at it.
Hey, I was this is just a ask for me. I was tied up during the event, and I went back into the link to see if I could watch it, and it's gone. Can the insiders watch the event?
Let me see what I can do, because I still have to send my recap out of that event to the insiders. So let me see what I can do about getting you some archived footage there.
Because I was like, I don't know, Sunday morning or something, I was gonna jump on and watch some of the matches.
Let me see what I can do. That's it. Yeah, that's really good.
Okay.
All right.
There was one comment, it's not really a question, but they commented saying that Freebird Insta clip on Fleek, whose idea? BHAW. Whoa. LFG.
We're gonna be demonetized.
This is a PG show, B-Ro. Did you say Fleek?
Yeah, they said that Freeburg Insta clip on Fleek. I haven't heard that term in like 10 years.
I'm 41 years old, man. I can't keep up with all this.
That's an old term, I feel like, on Fleek. I remember saying that. I remember people saying that like 10 years ago.
You remember saying it yourself, B-Ro. You say you catch it. I remember other people saying it.
Yeah.
B-Ro, you walked around saying that.
It was an inside joke with somebody who said that. That's why I would say it to this individual, but that was the only time I
Okay, so let me tell you more about that Insta video. Thanks to our strong fundraising efforts through both the West Point Wrestling Club and through the A Club, we're using dual funding sources for this. We have been able to retain, a professional videographer for a large part of the season, and we hope to keep that going. So that's why you're seeing some enhanced social content and some really high quality videos. We were able to go out and get somebody that can help us get our brand out there.
For a little bit, I thought that was Jeff Breeze. He just like learned all this new technology video stuff, but
Jeff's pretty good. He set up the YouTube link for the melee. So if the stream was any
still
good,
open, so he's pretty good.
Which Logan doesn't know if the stream was any good or not.
Yeah.
But no, it's a full team effort.
Well, that's pretty much all I had, other than I want to give a special shout out to former Army wrestlers Joe Forsman, USMA 2005, and Nate Tababin 2008. Both recently competed in the Veteran World Championships in Croatia. Nate Tababin took 5th in freestyle, and Joe Forsman was a runner-up in freestyle and a world champion in Greco. So
a world champ. Let's go, fellas. That's BHAW right there. And
in their 40s. Ooh.
That is BHAW, and that has inspired Brian Rowan to make a comeback. And you could expect to see him competing for the Veterans National title and World Championships next spring, right, B-Ro?
Yes. I need the motivation. I think I took partial credit in a group text because I was like, they probably were listening to these episodes a couple of years ago when I was talking about the Midlands. And I think I was pretty serious at the time. I mean, I did compete in BHAWs, which is pretty much the same thing.
What is partial? Like 2% credit? Because they actually went out and wrestled. So the credit goes to the man in the arena.
Well, you know what they say, the hardest part's putting your shoes on. So if he got him to do that, then that's quite a bit.
You deserve credit as a coach, then. You're a motivator and a coach. Yeah. So shout out Nate and Joe. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, when you originally had sent that message out, you're like, hey, we got to get some light on this alumni who just placed at the World Championships. I thought you were like trying to say that you had done it in secret and you wanted us to we got to shine some light on this, because you didn't mention who it was. And I was like, I almost started looking up. I was like, did Brian go do
said
this?
It in the next text.
I was just like, I had a moment where I was like, did Brian go do something like this and not say anything?
Listen, there's going to be plenty of build up before B-Ro goes and does something like this. We're going to make sure.
Yeah.
There's going to be at least a dozen people out there that know he's got it coming up for sure.
Yeah. We're going to need the videographer to come out and get some content of me.
You make the world team. We're sending him there. Let's go. That's a deal.
Something like the Rocky IV montage, like something like that.
Listen, this guy's really good. If you got an idea, he can turn it into a film. So we'll make it happen. But let's wrap it up there. I think that's a good stopping point. Congrats to those guys for winning the world medals and stepping out there and having the courage to compete. We'll look forward to updating everybody on our results. We compete November 3rd, so hopefully we can get an episode out in between the Princeton Open and the throwdown on the Yorktown. We got wrestling season coming up real quick. We're going to have lots to update and plenty to talk about.
Yeah, it's right around the corner. And if anybody's coming up for homecoming this weekend, I'll be there for my 15-year reunion. And there's a 5, 10, 15, and 20-year reunion. A few of us are getting together Saturday morning. So if you're still tuning in and you're going to be up at West Point this weekend and you're alumni, reach out to me, and I'll give you some details on where we're linking up and stuff like that.
Awesome.
Thanks for everything, Coach Logan. Appreciate all the support. Thanks to all the listeners. BHAW.
BHAW.
Thanks for tuning in to the BHAW Radio Show. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform. If there's something you'd like to hear on a future show, reach out to us on any of our social media, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Or you can reach us at email, bhaw.radio@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and as always, go Army, be Navy.